Good morning. We get back with Jesus in His Word. You know, sometimes we've been too busy to pay attention to the Lord's Word. And now He's got us on this journey of walking with Him through His life and hearing what He has to say, studying on what He's said, thinking on it. We're like Mary. We're sitting at Jesus' feet, listening to His words. And Martha might want us to get up, go do that work in the house, get things ready, get the house cleaned up, get the dishes washed, get the dinner cooked. Martha may be nagging at us, but we're doing this because one thing is needful, and Mary hath chosen the good part, and it shall not be taken away from her. Woo! So here we are. We get to do it again. Let's look in chapter 19, verse 27. Then answered Peter and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? He was speaking after this encounter that Jesus had with the rich young ruler, and when they saw him walk away, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. After Jesus said, If thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. When Peter and them saw the man walk away, Peter said, Well, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? What are you going to give us for doing this? Peter was something, wasn't he? But really, I understand it. You're expecting a reward for giving up everything. They hadn't really. Peter had a wife. He had a place to live. He probably had to still take care of his wife and his children. Jesus was talking to that young man, probably didn't have a wife. I mean, I said that about his wives and stuff like that, but I don't know. I don't know exactly what the young man had, but whatever it was, he didn't want to give it up. And Peter said they'd forsaken all, which they had, as far as to go with Jesus everywhere he went, to be totally his, and trust in the Lord for their families. Lots of people have had to do that because of the calling of Jesus on their lives. Well, then Jesus begins to answer him, and Jesus said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which hath followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 tribes, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And every one that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. So he gave a better explanation to them than he had done to the young man. The young man, if he'd have come and followed him, he would have heard that. He would have heard that if you forsake all this, you're going to receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. You're not only going to have everlasting life, but you're going to receive a whole lot more than you ever gave up. That's what Jesus was saying. But I wanted to go back to verse 28 when it talks about that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 tribes, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, as far as I can remember in the book of Matthew, Jesus hasn't spoken much about the end times yet, up till this point. But here he begins to allude to things in the future. And it was in the far future for them. because here we are in 2023 and it hasn't happened yet. We're still looking for well, if we talk about the regeneration, there's two things that the regeneration could mean. The regeneration, he said, that ye which have followed me, in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 tribes, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. In the regeneration. What is the regeneration? The regeneration is when something is spiritually reborn or renewed or reformed, made again. When we looking back in the book of Revelation, you know, he was talking to John. John was one of the disciples he was talking to. And one day, I don't know how much longer it was before this happened, but John was going to receive a revelation of the future. And it was going to be called Revelation in the Bible. You know, I don't know how people see the future. But the Bible said that when we're filled with the Holy Ghost, He'll show us things to come. So God knows what is the future. He knows the end from the beginning from the end. He knows all of it. He knows all of it. It's hard to understand how someone could see the future when it hasn't happened yet. But God does. He sees the future. And the whole Bible is full of prophecies, things that were going to happen. And they happened exactly the way they were prophesied. You know, Judas betrayed the Lord for the 30 pieces of silver. I mean, he was crucified and cried, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? I mean, so many amazing things that were prophesied in the Bible that we can look at and we go, how could somebody know something that's going to happen that hasn't happened yet? Well, that is what God is, who God is, how God is. He knows it all. He knows it all. And He wanted us to count on that, to believe in everything that He's shown us that's going to happen, written in the Word. He wanted us to know that it's going to happen. And when Jesus began to say this, He was looking into the future. He was looking into the future when there would be, first of all, there would be judgment in Revelation chapter 20. He's looking into the future when He rides. I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. In righteousness He doth judge and make war. We see Him coming with all the armies of heaven following behind Him. He has on His vesture and on His thigh name written King of Kings and Lord of Lords. When that was all going to happen, and then when I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, then books were opened. And another book was opened, which is the book of life, and the dead were judged out of those things that were written in the books according to their works. So we see judgment. We see Jesus coming back. We see chapter 21, verse 1, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. He revealed to John these things, and he's talking about it here. He said, that ye which have followed me, in the regeneration when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of His glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. The enemy's trying to make me stumble around today, but I'm going to just go on and believe that I'm straightened out. And he wanted them to know that this isn't all there is. This isn't all there is. And he also wanted them to know that things that they leave behind to follow Him wasn't all there is. And everyone that hath forsaken houses or brethren, they'd forsaken their houses. Jesus had forsaken His brethren, had to, because they didn't Many of them didn't believe. Or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands. Most of these men, I'm sure, had wives, and they had to forsake them, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. He wanted them to know that what you're leaving behind, what you're forsaking, is not to be compared with what you're going to receive 100-fold. That means if they left a house behind, they were going to have 100 houses. They were going to have 100 fathers and mothers. I don't think he meant 100 wives, because nope. But maybe 100 children if they left one child behind. 100 acres of land rather than an acre. If you leave all of that for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. So he was giving them a promise then. And aren't you glad that Peter asked that question? I mean, it seemed like he wanted to know, if we're giving it all up, what you going to give us? And Jesus didn't mind him asking, because he wanted him to know it. Did you know that all the disciples except John were martyred? They gave it all up, even their lives. And they tried to martyr John, but it didn't work. But they gave it all up. But what happened during their lives? How many children did they have? Spiritual children. How many houses and lands, brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers did they have? And how many people did they have to be companions to them if they had to leave their companion to do it? And I don't mean a wife. I mean, going into wherever the Lord told them to go, and having somebody to go along with them and help them. There is just so much that the Lord offers for us to be able to say, I'm going to have much more. I'm going to give this up. But the Lord promised that I'd have much more and everlasting life. For many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Now this has all kinds of ways of looking at it, which I'm not sure how to talk about it. But the next chapter we'll read, and he'll say this again. So the last shall be first, and the first last. So we're going to kind of let that go for a little while and talk about that next time I go into chapter 20. Because he kind of explains what he meant by that. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. I think about serving the Lord in 2023 and how people have served the Lord since he came. And now, who's first in our minds? We are, aren't we? We're about the last. We're in the end times. But we're thinking, when's our revival, Lord? When's the stuff you're going to do with us and for us? And we're first in our minds. We don't, whatever happened back then, that's the way it was. But we're living now. We're going through this. We're the last. And we want him to do for us. We want to be first in his sight, in his thoughts, in his heart. We want him to do for us mightily. We know you've done for people in the past, But here we are. We're last. Oh, we want you to do for us. Oh, we want to follow you. We want to forsake whatever you want us to forsake. Houses, brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for thy name's sake. We want to forsake whatever you want us to forsake. But we just want you to help us. We just want you to give us last the best. I guess I'm like Peter. What you gonna give us, Lord? We're last. Oh, I don't know why I went to crying, but I couldn't help it. Because I love him and we need everything he'll do for us, don't we, in this generation? Well, I'm going to go. I will see you tomorrow and we'll start chapter 20. God bless you. Oh, not tomorrow. I'll see you Monday. We'll start chapter 20. Tomorrow's Sunday. Get a great blessing from the Lord. He'll give it to you.